Woo! See if I have this in queue. Do I? I never know. Pendejo, welcome in. Sam Tobias. Havens 84 from Twitch is back. Welcome back. Stop the portal craziness. Clint, it might be the only way your Texas Tech Red Raiders can get back to relevance. Pick up some dudes in the portal. You guys got somebody from USC. Havens 84 says tighten up, spelled Titan, as in Tennessee Titan. Yeah, but Clint, on a certain level, I know everybody's freaking out, and I know the transfer portal changes things, but on a certain level, enabling these college athletes to be free. I transferred colleges twice, and I'm glad someone didn't say, no, you can't. You're locked into your first choice. Granted, I didn't play athletics. But if a chemistry major decides he wants to transfer because he thinks he'll have a better experience at another college, even though he's under scholarship, but if the other college gives him a scholarship, I don't know. It's interesting. And might just make college basketball more dynamic and wide open. So I don't necessarily dislike it. Yeah, Havens 84 says coaches leave all the time. That is one of the arguments for it. Hector Gomez, good morning. Carl Fisher, good morning. From the hospital, the baby girl gets to go home today. That's cool. Here we go.
Now, Chris Duel.
It's Thursday. It's tax day, sort of, kind of, not really. It usually is on April 15th. Dave Ayler, we're going to have to play Taxman by the Beatles at some point today. April 15th. Sports galore. Welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. And April 15th, last weekend, I was going, oh, crap, it's almost April 15th. I got to work on taxes. And then I Googled. My wife, Beth, said, no, they backed it up again for COVID. So apparently it's May 17th. So if you were like me and were freaking out, as I was a few days ago, you got till May 17th. And Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, I procrastinate. If there's a deadline, you can count on me the day before the deadline going, oh, damn, I need to get going here. So
wait a minute.
Yeah.
I think we need to double check the date because I thought Texas residents, because of the storm.
Ooh.
got it pushed back again.
Even further. That's beautiful.
So if you're gonna procrastinate, I don't want you to
Don't start
feel
early.
like you are and then cheat yourself.
Exactly.
A couple extra days.
I'm going to see. I Googled 2021 tax date. And I think the federal, typically April 15th tax day, they said, well, you've got till May 17th. That's what I saw, but I didn't specifically Google Texas. So, all right. That's big news. Shannon, how are you this morning?
I'm doing all right. I see your name today on our video feed, which of course available on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Says, is it Friday yet?
Yes.
Oh, so how are you today?
I'm okay. Yesterday, as you know, I didn't get my nap. I am not a morning person, so I have to keep telling myself when we do this show, okay, pretend you live in France and see it's a normal hour there. So I did this show, and then I did a TV commercial for an attorney in Memphis, which is weird. So I did that middle of the day. Then there was a Spurs game last night. So normally it is Zach Greinke who makes me cranky of the Houston Astros. And oh my God, are the Astros in a heap of trouble on multiple levels now, none having to do with cheating. But so if I don't get a nap, Shannon, I'm cranky. So I'm extra sleep deprived this morning, which is just wonderful. So I'm going, all right, is it Friday? No, it's not. It's Thursday. But Shannon, we just start the weekend on Thursday anyway. Because we can.
That's true.
What the hell? Now, I must ask you, and I should have probably asked you before I did it. So it's Throwback Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, all right, we put out a kind of a highlight of the show photo on Twitter. So I thought, I'll get like throwback photos of me from way back. Tanner Carlson, who's going to come on at 8:06 from way back. Dave Ayler from way back. And you from way back. So what did I do? I went to your Facebook pages and I went scrolling through your photos, and without your permission.
From my private Facebook page.
It's private, but you put it out on. I should have asked first.
I announced that I don't take listener friends.
I know, but I'm more than a listener. Are you okay with it? Because I know some people are sensitive about their photos.
It made me a little sad because that's my dog that unfortunately passed away too early with cancer. He's still like the background on my phone, but it was good to see him.
I'm sorry to
that's
bring
great.
You
that's
down.
a great throwback.
Okay.
I may post a throwback later. My uncle found some pictures of my third great grandparents.
Oh my goodness!
The original guy who was born in Ireland.
Wow.
And then his wife, who I believe her father is a murderer.
Oh my God, you got a murderer.
I've got it in my blood.
In your blood, you've got a murderer. I don't think
the photos are fantastic, and they're so old.
Who do you?
I look just like my great grandmother.
Do you know the circumstances of the murder? Why did this person murder somebody? Did they have it coming?
So I think he owned a bar in New Orleans at the time, and he was doing some not prohibited stuff there, and so he went on the run. And I think the story is that in Galveston, when the police were trying to capture him, he shanked one of them.
He killed a police officer,
and then he was back in New Orleans, but then he was acquitted.
He was unbelievable. A lot of unlikely.
Some old newspaper clippings we have.
That is amazing.
This guy's last name is Barlow, though, so it's not. He's not on the Sweeney side specifically.
Okay.
But we are related in a small way.
Very nice. Let me ask Dave Ayler, of all of the Throwback Thursday photos, I got yours looks the youngest. You look about 4-ish.
Yeah, I think that's about what I was there.
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Very good looking young 4-year-old you were.
That's back when I had hair.
Are you okay with me stealing your Facebook photos off your private Facebook page without your permission and then just putting it out there on the radio?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's, anything I put up there is, I assume, is going to be out there forever. So
that was my theory. I thought, okay, no, if somebody really, really hates this photo, they're not going to put it on Facebook. But I should have asked. But I was running late. It was like 5 till 6. So I don't have time to ask everybody for permission. Apologize later. That's always been my theory. Because, and another motto, if you ask enough people, someone will tell you no. So just don't ask. And then we found a Tanner Carlson, and He looks like Kurt Cobain or something. Long hair.
Well, what's up with
Facial-
yours? You're wearing like a fedora and a
I'm wearing kind of a.
big head of hair.
I had that is my 17th birthday. I had a lot of hair back in the 70s, and yeah, I got some kind of weird white. Maybe that was an homage to Tom Landry. I don't know what the hell that was, but yeah, that was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So there you go, Throwback Thursday. So if you want to see what Dave Ayler and Shannon and Tanner and I look like with hair as well. I've been follically challenged for about 40 years. So they should have told me on my 17th birthday, hey, dude, happy birthday. Enjoy the hair. It's going to go away quickly. Not that I'm bitter. All right. We got the contest coming up at 6:20 and at 7:20. It's a new contest. You can win $1,000. And I'll tell you when 6:20 comes around in about 2.5 minutes. We'll get into that. I did mention the Houston Astros, Shannon, yesterday. My God, big names are put on an IR. They say due to health and safety protocols. It was weird in that the general manager of the Astros released a statement, but would not say. And I guess privacy. I kind of get it. But they placed second baseman Jose Altuve, third baseman Alex Bregman, designated hitter Yordan Alvarez, who was a madman at Round Rock before he became an Astro, catcher Martin Maldonado, and reserve infielder Robel Garcia, all on the injured list, quote, as a result of health and safety protocols, according to general manager James Click. And Shannon, we know health and safety protocols means either they encountered someone with COVID, so they got to be isolated, or they got the COVID. So they're not saying, but we can surmise it's one of those two.
And I saw this come down yesterday afternoon and all the names, and I'm like, that's the team.
Yeah.
Just say all of the Astros are out.
All the Astros who matter.
They're already in a slump, and so I hope they come back quickly from whatever the circumstances may be, because it's just getting worse.
It was looking so good.
We started bragging so early.
Yeah, I it's a rule, and I tell other people, especially early in a game, early in a season, early anything, don't get cocky. There's a line, and here I was getting cocky. Hey, we're 6-1. We got the best record in baseball. Ever since I said we're 6-1, we got the best record in baseball. Now they're 6-6. That would be a 5-game losing streak for the Astros. They lose last night to the Tigers 6-4. It wasn't as close as the final score indicates. It was like 6-2 for much of the night. But Astros playing badly on the field and losing a lot of big stars to health and safety protocols off the field.
Maybe the trash cans are getting to them. We didn't think they were, but turns out there. But in better news, Texas baseball is just
oh my God, we got to talk about that.
So at least there's that.
And is it Ivan Melendez or is it Ivan Melendez? How does he pronounce that? Do we know? I'm thinking Ivan.
That would be my guess.
You occasionally have it pronounced Ivan. I got to find out for it. So until somebody corrects me.
This is the Hispanic Titanic. That's what
the Hispanic Titanic. I love that.
I need to look to where that came from, because that's pretty fantastic.
He had a
enjoy it.
He had a 6-game home run streak. We'll get into it. Batting average 588. He had 14 extra base hits, 7 home runs in 6 games, and 20 RBIs. The dude is phenomenal. We'll get into all that. But it's 6:20, so here's the deal. This is a kind of different, but it's still very easy to play contest. We used to give you keywords that you would text. Now you go to the website. You go either to AM 1300, the Zone's website, if that's where you're listening. If you're listening via Ticket 760, any of those stations, either over the air or via the iHeartRadio app or Facebook, however you're doing it, go to the website and you enter in the keyword, and you got a shot to win $1,000. Here it goes.
Right now, here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. School. That's school. Enter it now.
School. School is not yet out for summer, but that's going to happen eventually. So we'll do that again at 7:20. We do it 12 times throughout the day. Somebody wins it. It's the way I look at contests. Throw your name in the hat, see what happens. Hopefully you win. And if you throw your name in enough hats, eventually you win a contest. You go, cool. I'm glad I did that. So I hope you win. So let's see. Astros losing streak. Spurs, my God, Shannon, Spurs in Tampa last night to take on Toronto. And there was another game like this against the Houston Rockets earlier in the season. Just after they traded James Harden, the Rockets came to San Antonio and had like 8 players. In fact, they had to pick up a dude that day to get to 8 players. And I'm like, we're going to win this. Let's just chalk this up as a victory for the Spurs. Spurs lost that game. Last night, the Raptors were without Kyle Lowry. Fred VanVleet was serving a suspension. A number of other key Toronto Raptors were out, and I thought, man, we've won 2 in a row. We're on a roll. No Kyle Lowry, no Fred VanVleet. We got this. No, Spurs lose. And again, that's another one that was not as close as the final score indicates. I think the final was 117-112. Toronto. Spurs had to make a huge, ferocious run in the final minutes to make it tight and have a shot, but they couldn't find a way back in. So Spurs lose, and I believe your Dallas Mavericks won in exciting fashion last night. I think Luka with a big game winner. At least I heard a highlight late last night.
A big game winner, not a pretty game winner. I mean, this shot was unbelievable. I think he was going more for a foul, as he just really didn't have a great look at the rim, but it fell, and I think Memphis was stunned. If there were fans in the arena, it probably just would have been drop dead silence at that moment. But yeah, we get the win. Spurs get to take that L. So good day for me.
Yeah, and you beat Memphis. I was watching that game last night while doing the Spurs radio along with Bill Schoening, and Memphis led much of the night. So I'm thinking, all right. And first, I thought we were going to beat Toronto. So I thought, we pick up another game on the Mavs. No, it goes the other way. But Memphis is a team that is also chasing the Mavericks. So the Mavericks pick up a game on the Spurs, pick up a game on the Grizzlies. Grizzlies fall to 27-26. With the loss, the Spurs fall to 26-27. And now the Mavs beating the Grizzlies on the Luka Doncic game winner last night, 114-113. Mavs now 6 games above 500 at 30-24. So the Mavericks, you must be very happy, putting themselves in a position to, ascend in the standings. Of course, you obviously want to avoid the 9th and the 10th spot or worse. So they Mavericks, they lost a couple there, one of which was to the Spurs, but overall, last few weeks they've been playing well.
Yeah, it feels good because there was a point midway through the season where I was like, this doesn't look much better than what it was last year. So what's happening here? But they're, as we like to say, you got to peak at the right time, and I think they're doing so. Now for the Spurs last night, you mentioned the previous game that was under similar circumstances that you felt like they should have won, and then they just totally did not. And then the scoreboard didn't even reflect how kind of poor the game was. Is that a mental thing? Is that them coming in thinking that they've got it in the bag just like the fans do, and them not playing up to what they should be playing at, no matter who the competition is, or what went wrong for them last night?
Gosh, it's a head scratcher. The Spurs made some runs. The Spurs, I think at one point went up double digits, as did Toronto. The Spurs were up at one point in the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter, and then Toronto went on this big run and they opened up a 10-point lead. It's mainly been lapses in defense in key moments. There were some key free throws down the stretch, and the Spurs, it's such a head scratcher for me when they don't play well, and when they have, and I think the worst part of it is for them defensive lapses. And what's crazy about, we all know, and we've known this for 20 plus years, Greg Popovich's entire existence is defense first. We're going to focus on defense, and we're going to build the entire team around being a tough defensive team. And once we're a tough defensive team, we'll work on other things like passing and offense and 3-point shooting and free throw shooting. So I can't wrap my head around the inconsistency. Some nights they'll look great, and you'll think, okay, there's a lot, and there's a lot of talent on this team. There's a lot of young talent in DeJounte Murray and Keldon Johnson and Derek White. And then you've got the veterans like DeMar DeRozan and Rudy Gay and Patty Mills always coming off the bench, providing a spark. Patty is the longest tenured Spur, but I think inconsistency and defensive lapses, and Pop did allude to this, and Coach Greg Popovich will never make excuses, but he did say last week that the team just looked fried. He used the term that the Spurs schedule more than any other team in the NBA, because they had like a week and a half off for COVID and lost about 6-7 games in the first half of the year. Those games were backloaded into the second half of the season. So they're just playing a lot of games on a lot of nights. Then Friday, Saturday, they've got a back-to-back. They've got Portland on Friday here. Then you hop on a plane to Phoenix, and you got to play Phoenix on Saturday night on a back-to-back. Two really good teams in the Western Conference. So it's games like that, and just I think they're overextended, which is too bad. All right. We are late for a break, but we got to figure out what the poll question is because we don't have one yet. I got a couple of ideas. I'll talk to Shannon, and the people on Facebook Live during the break will put up a poll question, have you vote on it. We will talk NFL draft, certainly. Tanner Carlson going to join us at 8, but we'll probably get into that ahead of that. There's more awful Deshaun Watson news, of course. It's every day, it seems. So we'll talk Major League Baseball, NFL, college baseball, Longhorns looking great, NBA, and more. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. We're with you till 9. It's the Chris Duel Show. So, yeah, I need a poll question. One of the ideas was who is the best quarterback in the NFL draft after Trevor Lawrence? Is it Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields? I know we're 2 weeks out from the draft. Another one, something along the lines of which Texas professional franchise is in the most trouble right now? It's probably Houston, but Houston Texans, Houston Astros, San Antonio Spurs, Cowboys, Rockets. Jesse Bratton, welcome. Let's see. Roger Salazar, Luisa Alanis, good morning. Havens 84, Roger Salazar, Carl Fisher, Hector Gomez, Pendejo, Clint Proctor. Okay, I think I'm going to go. Quarterbacks, because there's like 4. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. I love it when my computer fails when I really need it to work. God. This is ridiculous. Out of this. All right. Working on a poll question. These in alphabetical order. All right, alphabetical. Guess Justin Fields is 1. JKL. Mac Jones would be 2. Trey Lance would be 3. Zach Wilson would be 4. So here we go. Whoa. Patrick Hart, good morning. Pendejo with Taxman. We're going to run Taxman here. Today is tax day, usually. It's also glazed spiral ham day. Today is rubber eraser day. Come on. This is getting ridiculous. That is correct, Pendejo. I checked that over the weekend because I was unaware of it, and I thought taxes had to be done today. Woo! Tell us, George.
There's one for you, 19 for me. 'Cause I'm the tax man. Yeah, I'm the tax man.
Such a cool song about such an awful experience. The Tax Man, Paying Your Taxes, penned by George Harrison, lead vocals by George Harrison, performed by the Beatles. Tax Man. Today is usually tax day. If you're a traditionalist, you can still turn them in today, but you have an extension federally until May 17th. So we thought we'd play a little Tax Man for you. Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. We are with you until 9 o'clock. Thanks for hanging out with us. Lots of ways you can participate in the show. Lots of people joining us on Facebook Live. That's one way to do it. It's fun. You not only interact with us, but you interact with cool peeps from all over the world many times. And that we're now on Twitch. Havens84 joining us once again from Twitch. So it's AM 1300, the Zone's Facebook page, Ticket 760's Facebook page. There is a YouTube link to that as well. All kinds of fun stuff. So you can do that. And we do take phone calls. Phone number 800-707-9760. 800-707-9760. Whatever is on your mind in the world of sports, in the world of taxes, in the world of life. We'll talk with you about just about anything. And Shannon, we are 2 weeks out from the NFL draft. So I figured, what the heck? Let's have a draft-related poll question. Has that poll question appeared in front of you yet?
Yes, sir. Asking after Trevor Lawrence, who is the best quarterback in this year's NFL draft? Options today: Justin Fields of Ohio State, Mac Jones of Alabama, Trey Lance of North Dakota State, and Zach Wilson of BYU. Zach Wilson currently leading the way with 50% of the vote. And I would take him out of those options. I mean, historically, Ohio State and Alabama quarterbacks don't live up to the hype.
True.
In the NFL.
And what about Sam Ehlinger? How come Sam Ehlinger's not on that list?
I don't think he's a starter.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it was The Athletic. I might pull that up here before the show's over. Their mock draft, and I hate this. They had Sam Ehlinger, and of course, as you know, Longhorn quarterback Sam Ehlinger. I always say somebody's name and assume everybody knows who he is, but just a Longhorn quarterback Sam Ehlinger going in the 6th round. I always thought maybe 3rd or 4th, but the Athletics mock draft says 6th round, and this is almost the worst team he could go to as far as my Cowboy fanship. Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles select Sam Ehlinger in the 6th round. No, please no.
And what, we've got Jalen Hurts just sitting there for him to be behind that?
I don't
We
know.
already have Colt McCoy behind Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
I would like, Cowboys need a backup quarterback now that the Red Rifle signed with Chicago.
They spoke with him.
Say what?
They spoke with him. He just spoke about his meeting with the Cowboys how growing up in the Texas area was a dream come true, something he never would have imagined. He met with a couple coaches. I said it was a great experience, went really well. So, I know
Do it.
he's probably spoken to almost all of the NFL teams, but the Cowboys were one of them, and he said it went well.
I think he would be great. I think he'll be great on any team. I think he's clearly a leader. He has a high football IQ. He's got skills, and I think he'll. And when was Tom Brady in the 4th round or the 5th? He might just have a little burning desire to prove people wrong, which would be nice. So anyway, we'll talk more NFL draft with Tanner Carlson. Dave Ayler provided me, Shannon, with a list ranking every quarterback's odds of being the MVP in 2021.
Okay.
According to Las Vegas. Obviously, I think you can name who is number 1. Patrick Mahomes is 6-1. Number 2 has spent some time on Jeopardy lately.
It's probably Aaron Rodgers.
It is Aaron Rodgers at 8-1. Now, who do you?
MVP.
The reigning MVP. A little bit of a surprise at number 3. You want to get you got Mahomes, you got Rodgers. Who is at 12-1? Yes, the guy who your buddy at center for the Buffalo Bills.
His numbers have been very impressive. I mean, the only reason we're probably not more impressed with them is because we have guys like Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers in the league.
Mike, you're on fire. All right, we're going to see how far you can go till you get one wrong. Now it's going to get really tough. All right, Patrick Mahomes, number 1 at 6-1. Aaron Rodgers, number 2 at 8-1. Josh Allen, you were correct, is number 3 in odds to become the MVP of 2021 at 12-1. There is a tie for 4th place at 14-1. So you got 2 chances of naming one of these dudes. Two quarterbacks after Mahomes, Rodgers, and Josh Allen. Who do you think 4 or 5 or tied for 4th are?
Got 3 names in my head. Lamar Jackson.
Boom! Yes, he's one of the 2 tied for 4th.
He's a previous pretty not so distant.
I think you Googled this list.
No,
I think you're cheating.
No. I want to say like Big Ben or Tom Brady for the next one.
Close. They've got tied for 4th Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray at 14-1. And you just said Brady. Brady is 6th at 16-1.
I mean, I like Kyler, but just the team doesn't scream MVP caliber team.
Yeah, and Ben Roethlisberger's not even in the top 20. So I'll tell you the rest of. So we said Patrick Mahomes.
Start meant nothing to the folks, did it?
No. Patrick Mahomes 1, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Tom Brady at 6.
Where's Dak?
Coming right up. Number 7, okay. Matthew Stafford, 18-1.
What?
Matthew Stafford, 18-1.
Brand new team. And
at number 7 to be MVP. Then comes Dak, tied with Russell Wilson at 20-1.
That's dirty.
At 8.
That's so dirty.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford on a brand new team. Nothing's guaranteed.
No.
And then you're going to tie Dak with Russell, who is so unhappy right now in his situation. You think he's going to go out and win an MVP for that team before Dak wins one for the Cowboys?
It's great. That's a great point.
Who did Dave write this list?
Dave, did you write this list?
No, it was sent to me by someone. I don't remember who it was.
So, okay.
I've got some grievances.
Does it say who put that list out on that sheet?
It's I saw. Let's see.
Should say at the bottom.
USA Today.
Okay.
USA Today ranked these odds.
Who's last?
Now they only give the top 20. So
Okay.
out of 20, so there is no Ben Roethlisberger. At 20, Tua Tagovailoa at 66-1, tied with Jameis Winston. So Jameis Winston is higher than Ben
You
Roethlisberger.
don't even know if he's gonna start.
I know.
Tua, like same thing over in Miami. We've got some fandom issues happening with this year. I think someone played a little favoritism.
At number 10, behind Dak and Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert of the Chargers at 30-1.
Okay. I mean, he was rookie.
Yeah. All right. Then I'll read them real quick. Ryan Tannehill, Carson Wentz ahead of Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson at 14 at 50-1.
List?
When did they do this list?
On this list.
Give me, yeah. Deshaun Watson plays this year and is the MVP for the Houston Texans.
Jameis Winston has a better chance of starting for his franchise right now than Deshaun Watson.
I think I almost have a better chance than Deshaun Watson.
I don't take this seriously anymore. After the top 4, it's completely dropped off.
Derek Carr, Joe Burrow, Cam Newton, Kirk Cousins.
Joe Burrow? What are his odds?
50-1.
Like, he was okay, but he also still plays for Cincinnati. He's coming off a pretty horrific injury, and they didn't do anything last year when he wasn't injured.
Yeah, they won a couple games, didn't they?
Okay, but a couple doesn't.
Okay, yeah, right.
This list is ridiculous.
I know. So there you have it. Bet on Patrick Mahomes is good.
Yeah,
But I do have to find out when USA Today put Deshaun Watson at number 14 on this list. He needs to.
They just not been paying attention.
I don't think they have. So
Heads are in the sand.
there is that. Let's see. It is April 15th. We mentioned it is tax day. What you may not know, Shannon, and this is getting ridiculous. It is also National Glazed Spiral Ham Day. Please.
That should be in November.
Well, and we just have too many. For any object on the face of this earth, it's got a day. Glazed Spiral Ham Day is today, April 15th. And you're right.
It's like a whole
It should be Thanksgiving-ish.
A whole ham by themselves on Ham Day.
And
Are there
finally,
any specials we know of I can get some free food for?
yeah, nothing like a good ham.
That's the only good thing about the food days is, okay, where can I get something free?
Yes. And I didn't know this. The first honey baked ham store opened in 1957. I didn't know they'd been around that long.
Oh, really? That seems late to me.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. All right. It's also, God help us, it's Rubber Eraser Day.
You mean erasers that don't erase anything, just like make black smudge marks?
Exactly.
On paper. That's like the brown paper towels that don't actually pick up water, just pushes it around.
And they
done here.
They say on April 15th, 1770, somebody named Joseph Priestley first created a vegetable gum to remove pencil marks. He called the substance rubber, and it became the first rubber eraser. My God. God help us. Thank God it's not tax day. That's a beautiful thing.
I don't do my own taxes.
Do you
Dad job.
I discovered TurboTax.
I think that's what he uses.
It's like, you just gather up all your stuff and they walk you through it. I mean, I could never do it the old fashioned way without a lot of help, but TurboTax makes it pretty easy. So Dad still does taxes. That's a good thing to have Dad around for.
Yeah. I mean, I've offered to like, hey, teach me how or whatever, but I think he just likes to, he's got a system.
Yeah.
So
well,
I'm good with it.
Someday he's got to teach you his system though, right?
I'm hoping by then I'll find a husband who can do it for me and pass it on from one guy to the next.
There you go. And that'll be one of the things on the checklist. If this guy is husband material,
yeah.
Can you do taxes?
Red flags if you can't do my taxes.
Now, see, my wife is an attorney, so she's got more of a brain like that than I do. So most of the time, she's the one who does taxes.
You just have to have one person,
right?
Yeah,
and
that is not something I bring to the table.
Yeah,
or want to bring it because I'm sure I could learn, but.
Yeah, I don't bring a lot of math or financial skills to the table.
Yeah.
Thus, I work in sports radio. Yeah.
Someone to just watch sports, that's me.
Beautiful.
Doing taxes in springtime. No thanks.
We did have a no-hitter. We've got to mention this. There was a no-hitter in baseball last night. In fact, it was a perfect game through much of the night. I was doing the Spurs game, hearing about this perfect game out there. The Chicago White Sox against the Cleveland Indians. White Sox left-hander Carlos Rodon came 2 outs away from a perfect game, but threw the first no-hitter of his career, an 8-0 win over the Cleveland Indians. Carlos Rodon is 28 years old. He threw 114 pitches in the complete game, So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know for the pitchers it's a big deal, and for the team it's a big deal, but for the audience, that's not a game I enjoy watching.
That's one of my problems in baseball.
We celebrate it so much, but I don't want to watch that. There's no highlights from that game. Nothing.
Strikeouts, and then the pitcher pumping his fist when he gets the no hitter in the ninth, and the catcher running out and hugging him and all that.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe baseball. What's the most exciting part? A fist bump followed by a hug at the end of the game.
And that's why they say chicks dig the long ball. Get me home runs.
But if you're complaining about the game being too long, that's a short game.
True.
Those innings go by real quick.
Yeah, there's that.
See, it's even more messed up. We're just digging this hole. It just circles, it cycles itself.
That's true.
Exciting? No. But is it over faster with? Yes.
Yeah, that's why we watch baseball. We want to get it over with. Let's go watch baseball. Let's eat a hot dog, have a few beers, and get the hell out. That was a good baseball game. Hey, it ended quickly. Woo! We can get on with our lives. On to more exciting things. Funny. All right. Coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, your Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays. Lots going on in the world of sports. We're 2 weeks out from the NFL draft. Tanner Carlson, our resident draft Nick, is going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour.
We should send him to Cleveland for us.
We should do that. All right. Let's discuss that.
And see what because it's going to be somewhat back to normal.
More coming up on the Chris Duel Show. Michelle Johnson, welcome in. Michelle says, I've used TurboTax online for at least the past 15 plus years, but this year I switched to H&R Block online. Why did you switch if you were happy with TurboTax? I mean, that just seems interesting if you've got your go-to. Plus, and you know this, Michelle, TurboTax will email you every year around tax time going, hey, here we are. We got all your information from last year. Just click here. We'll do it again. So there's that. I'm going to go get a caffeine refill. It's Throwback Thursday. I am wearing my San Antonio Wings t-shirt. Amen. Always have hand sanitizer with me. Because God knows who's been in this studio. All right. I'll be back. Mike Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. Michelle Johnson says TurboTax started to charge me and it was never the same fee. And I'm not a complicated tax filer, actually very simple. I don't know. Just thought I'd try something new this year. Stepped out of my comfort zone, I guess. Very good, Michelle. Yeah, I guess I'd have to compare both of them. I just kind of become a creature of habit because I've done TurboTax for so long. All right. Jason Paniagua says, I have flipped between TurboTax and Tax Shield, but will always return to TurboTax. All right, that's a good testimonial. Let's see, where is that? Here we go.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
You know the day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide. To the other side.
Now, Chris Duel.
You made it to Thursday. We're just starting the weekend early. We begin the weekend on Thursday. So blow off work today, everybody. Woo! Just say Shannon and Chris and Dave Ayler said you could do it, we'll write you a note. We'll actually come up with we'll write you a note you can present to your boss, and I'm sure everything will work out. Chris Duel Show along with Shannon Salty Sweeney on what would have been tax day, but it's been backed up to May 17th, so you got more time. If you're a procrastinator like I am, you're good. You're cool. It'll be fine. Either that or you can just call up Shannon's dad. Will your dad do other people's taxes?
No, I don't think so.
Probably not. All right. What if they bribe him? What if they offer him gifts,
I don't think so.
kickbacks, a percentage of the tax return?
You'd have to like finish the taxes to know how much that percentage would be.
That's right.
And it's not worth it.
Yeah, then, yeah. All right. So there's that.
I mean, what if they owe money? Then what? He has to pay the percentage that he would have received if they earned money?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah. Okay. It's not as simple as it sounds. I got it. So just, go to TurboTax or something like that. We are on Facebook Live. Laura Burris just jumped in here. Good morning, Laura, on AM 1300 The Zone and Ticket 760's Facebook page. You can interact with a whole bunch of people there, including us. Let's see. We've got another contest coming up at 7:20. That's under 12 minutes from now. Your chance to win $1,000 later this hour. This day in sports history, sports birthdays, and Shannon's Salty Shakedown. Our draft Nick Tanner Carlson in studio a little bit later, just after 8 o'clock. And Shannon, the draft regarding quarterbacks is the topic of our poll question this morning.
Yes, because as we know, Trevor Lawrence is most likely guaranteed to go Jacksonville Jaguars. Would be a huge upset at this point if he did not get picked first overall. So we're asking, who's the greatest quarterback behind him in the NFL draft? Justin Fields of Ohio State, Mac Jones of Alabama, Trey Lance of North Dakota State, and Zach Wilson of BYU, who currently leads with 46% of the vote, falling behind Justin Fields and Mac Jones and Trey Lance, tied for third with 13%. Now, I told you I liked me some Zach Wilson, BYU. Who are you liking here?
Probably Zach Wilson. I hear there's a lot of buzz around Trey Lance of North Dakota State, but he went to North Dakota State. I mean, I haven't looked at their schedule, but I don't think you're playing Alabama and Auburn and Texas. And I mean, I wonder, and I guess you could have, Carson Wentz is a guy also who went to a smaller school, at least initially. Carson Wentz looked good. We'll see if he can resurrect his career in Indianapolis. I guess you can say that about Romo. Where did he go? Like Eastern Illinois. And so maybe that's not fair to want the quarterback to go to a big time college and program to demonstrate what he can do. So, yeah, a lot of people are saying Zach Wilson. It's a lot of division on Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
People saying, well, you're at Alabama. You're surrounded by the best of the best. You've never had to come from behind. You've never been challenged.
Never had to work a day in your life.
Yeah. No defenders ever got to you in the pocket to make you rush a throw.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be interesting.
When Kyle Trask, who is just, it's like he's fallen off the face of the planet. He was a Heisman contender.
Yeah.
Florida was playing really well. I feel like after that LSU game where he started off by like throwing, I think he had 2 interceptions in that game. And I think that's where we had the shoe gate, which ultimately lost the game for Florida versus LSU. And it's like he fell off from there, and he doesn't even get brought up anymore. I'm sure he'll land somewhere.
Yeah.
But at this point, being a starter, I think, is in question for him.
Yeah, there were some who thought if Kyle Trask's stock went up, in pro days, combines, leading up to the draft, that there might have been, I think only once before, like in 83, there were 6 quarterbacks chosen. They're expected to be 5, the 4 we're mentioning: Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and of course, Trevor Lawrence, sunshine, number 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But you do have Kyle Trask as kind of an outlier. Maybe someone takes a shot at him late in the first round, maybe not. Davis Mills out of Stanford, Jamie Newman out of Georgia, also supposed to be good. And of course, we who are Longhorn fans, and we in the state of Texas who have watched his career, Sam Ehlinger, going to be very, very intriguing to see where he winds up in this draft. I mentioned to Shannon in the 6 o'clock hour, the Athletic, their mock draft has him going in the 6th round to the Philadelphia Eagles, both of which I find odd. I've always kind of looked at Ehlinger as like a 3rd or a 4th rounder. That's going to be one of the things that intrigues me on draft day and like draft weekend to see how Sam Ehlinger fares in this draft.
If you're going to have an argument for Sam Ehlinger to have, taken that COVID year and returned to Texas to play again, mine would have been that it's so quarterback heavy this draft, and next year's draft does not seem, at least where we stand right now, to have those big name stars who will be heading to the NFL. So he could have potentially, brought his name up and gotten a better, draft round. But then he's got the injury history with the concussions, brand new coach. So I don't blame him for leaving, but I always thought in the back of my mind, maybe he would be a higher draft pick should he have held out for one more year. And then on the Kyle Trask, you look for his name just out of interest to see what people are saying. And the first thing that comes up is, should the Bucks draft him, which I know it's all Tom Brady down there, but I mean, I think it's realistic that the Bucks could look to draft their future quarterback, or at least test the waters and kind of finding a guy who can learn behind Tom Brady while he's still there, and not, I don't know that you want to have such a deep fall off from Tom Brady and then having to scramble to find someone in next year's draft, and you don't know what that's going to look like when Tom finally says, "No, I'm done."
Yeah, and
he's Florida.
True. You're right. A Florida player, and we've talked about Kyle Trask is a Texan from Manville, Texas, Manville High School and he was, as you mentioned, he was nominated and spoken about for the Heisman Trophy. He was in the Heisman conversation. And regarding Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, Shannon, when a quarterback's skills fall off, and everybody's been waiting on this to happen to Brady for the last 6 years, but when their skills fall off, they really fall off. I think we saw that a little bit with Drew Brees. We kind of got the feel there were certain passes, especially this season, that we felt Drew Brees couldn't make, and part of that's the aging process.
Yeah, I mean, for a while it was almost like the dink and dunk passes were just a signature of the Saints because of their incredible backfield and tight end play. But then it kind of became like, wait a minute, you just can't throw it down the field. This is just what they do because that's all they can do. So I agree, and I'm one of those people just waiting for Tom Brady to slide off. But I think what Packers did it with Aaron Rodgers last year, and then he got all grumpy about it. He didn't realize that he's an old man.
Yeah,
and his time will come to an end at some point. And it's he did the same thing to Brett Favre, and look how great it worked out for him. I don't know what the fuss would be to draft the next guy, knowing you only have a handful of years left with the guy who's currently leading your team.
Well, as we've seen though, diva quarterbacks, when New England drafted Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady was all butthurt and went to Robert Kraft and kind of went around Bill Belichick and by all accounts orchestrated, the ouster, where Robert Kraft reportedly said to Bill Belichick, "You will move Jimmy Garoppolo to another team." Mm-hmm. So he kind of gifted him for a 2nd round draft pick.
Mason Rudolph in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So
Alex Smith was the best one with Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, Alex Smith welcoming his role.
He didn't have a choice, but he did it right.
True, but you could be kind of a diva. But who was somebody we talked about lately said, "No, I'm not here to mentor anybody." Who was that?
That's Mr. Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl champion.
Flacco, Joe Flacco.
Now on, he says that in Denver, and then he's in Carolina now?
I believe.
And he's saying it again. It's like, dude, no one's even saying you're the starter. Calm down. God.
And
he definitely wears his Super Bowl ring everywhere he goes.
Yeah, be a team player. How about I truly believe in my abilities to be starter, and I'm going to fight like hell for it. However, I'll do whatever is best for the team.
Well, and at that point in your career, when you're not really starter material anymore, your greatest asset at that point is your veteran status, your knowledge of the inner workings of the NFL, and mentoring and being a mentor to these younger guys. you're getting a paycheck for that and getting to keep your body healthy and happy. And you still get to say you're a Super Bowl champion. That no one can take that away from you. But Mr. Joe Flacco, teams aren't going to want to bring you on if this is going to be your attitude. They don't want that kind of attitude. That's not why you bring a vet in who isn't really going to play for your team. You're losing money here, fool.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And again, at that point, if you're not user friendly, why are we going to spend all this money on a Joe Flacco
Right.
when we can go get another backup quarterback?
We'll get another Joe Flacco who's got a better attitude.
Yeah, Andy Dalton is a lot cheaper and probably as effective right now and has a better attitude. Yes. That's why he's a Chicago Bear right now. So speaking of the NFL, it just doesn't go away and it just gets worse. Another woman entered into a lawsuit against Deshaun Watson yesterday. This one, a freelance makeup artist who says Deshaun Watson reached out to her, surprise, via Instagram. That's how he likes to do it.
DMs.
And this started on September 20th, 2020. A lot of these were just last season. September 20th, 2020, he asked her, she was a makeup artist. So he asked her, does she offer massages? I guess she said yes. Well, she said on two separate incidents during massage sessions in September and November, Watson allegedly assaulted and harassed her by exposing himself and touching her with a certain part of his body and groping her. What a guy. And again, all of this allegedly, but all of this is being alleged by a whole lot of women.
Well, when you say this is the story that doesn't go away, the first thing we hear yesterday is one of the women had dropped her suits, and this because their names were going to have to be released and made public. They couldn't be Jane Doe's anymore. They needed to have their names on these suits, and out of these women obviously want to keep their career. Like that's a really hard position to be in, specifically for this job where you are saying someone at your place of work in a massage where you are one person in a room with one other person did this awful thing to you. If people have the impression that you are a liar about it, then your job, no one's going to come see you, right? Because they don't want to be accused of such horrendous things. And so I don't blame her for dropping her suit, and not to say that she was lying, but I get that if that is her source of income, there's not necessarily a guarantee that even if he's convicted of all of these things that they'll get retribution, or that she'll, people may still fear that she'll turn them in. So I don't blame her for that, but we get that notice that, okay, it's dropped down to 21. And then as you mentioned later in the afternoon, that number just goes back up to 22.
Well, and plus, the woman and some women who want to remain anonymous, not everybody wants to go public, and there's crazy people out there, and there's crazy sports fans out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you are opening yourself to such harassment from idiots out there. So, all right, tell you what, we're going to take a quick timeout right now because it's 7:20. We do this at 6:20 and 7:20 on this show. We do it 12 times throughout the day. It's your chance to win $1,000. This contest a little different from the previous ones, but still very easy. You're going to get a keyword, and then you go to the website. Wherever you're listening, whatever station, either AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760, and you just put it in the website. Boom, you're in. Your name's in the hat. You could win $1,000. Here it is. It goes like this.
Right now, here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Sports. That's sports. Enter it now.
Sports. That's a good keyword. Sam Tobias telling us on Facebook Live, he says the NFL Network has Kellen Mond of the Texas Aggies going at number 117 in the draft, and Sam Ellinger from Texas going at number 202. Now, my brain can't translate where 117 is at. What round is that versus 202? But that's from the NFL Network.
Well, Kellen Mond impressed at the Reese's Senior Bowl, and he obviously walked away with that MVP trophy for that game. And I think that's stuck in a lot of minds of these NFL scouts looking for the next potential backup potentially turn great quarterback for their franchise. So yeah, I buy that.
Yeah, the whole quarterback angle's going to be fascinating. And, you think about this, and one thing is a lot of these quarterbacks will be a bust. So that's part of why, I mean, some of these big
Go get
names.
that bread.
Yeah, the 4 we have on our poll today, which is the next best quarterback in the draft after Trevor Lawrence, probably 2 of these 4 are going to be mediocre or busts. Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, or Justin Fields. Then you've got these other guys, and we now mentioned Kellen Mond of Texas A&M to go with Kyle Trask of Florida, Davis Mills of Stanford, Jamie Newman of Georgia, and of course the guy we're watching, Sam Ehlinger of the Longhorns. How many of those guys are going to be in the league after training camp? Many of them. And it just makes me wonder as well, Shannon, you've got other quarterbacks in the NFL right now who are not starters, who are either second string quarterbacks or the Cooper Rushes of the world or the Ben DiNucci's of the world, who have to be wondering. You hear all these quarterbacks coming into the league, especially this year, what is their job security for 2021? There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks who were making a nice little paycheck a year ago who might not be making it this coming year.
It still boggles my mind the fall off between a starting quarterback in the NFL and the backup. And then you do have guys like DiNucci and Cooper Rush who managed to stick around because they were already on a roster. They already know the playbook. Much easier than, working with a guy who potentially a bust, maybe just doesn't, fit the culture of the team, doesn't read playbooks well, whatever, to have him on the roster. So they end up kind of sneaking their way and finding, like a Colt McCoy. Like, he's just a great teammate and he is a great football player. He's just not NFL starter caliber. But I'd say for him, he'd probably be like, as far as the gap between starter and backup, he has the smallest gap, whereas you go to the Cowboys and it's probably one of the larger gaps in the NFL. So yeah, and then you make a great point. All these kids coming out of college who, may or may not be the next greatest thing, could be taking some jobs from people. But I mean, that's part of the game of the NFL and the business of the NFL.
Yeah, and I've talked to you about this before, Shannon, and you said, just the numbers game and the drop off from a starting quarterback in the NFL to the backup quarterbacks in the NFL. And I always think about college football. There are 130 Division I college football programs, in America. Obviously some of them are like Texas, and some of them are like the University of the Incarnate Word that is still Division I, but each one of these schools typically has a really, really good quarterback, comparatively speaking, compared to all of the kids who played quarterback in high school who want to then go play quarterback in college. You get to play quarterback in college at the Division I level, and there's 130 of those teams. And so, every year there's 30, 40 seniors graduating on average. Just the fact that so few can even make it to the NFL. There's a lot of undrafted free agents that'll show up in a training camp and get a shot. But to make it to the NFL and then become a starter, then of that universe of starters, we talk about who is an elite quarterback and who is not. It's just amazing the skill set it takes to survive and excel and thrive and become the best of the best in the NFL. I think it's unlike any other position in any professional sport out there.
That's why they get paid the unbelievably big bucks.
Yeah. All right. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. This day in sports history, sports birthdays, and a whole lot more. We will dive back into the NFL draft just after 8 o'clock. Tanner Carlson going to join us. He is our resident draft Nick. Lots coming up. You can dive in on the phone lines as well. 800-707-9760. You can join us on Facebook Live. Also, we're streaming live video on Ticket 760 and AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook pages. We will see you there. We're with you till 9. Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. I'm Chris. You're listening to The Chris Duel Show. Thank you, Sam. I just my head couldn't process where 117 was and where 202 were. Yeah, Juan, I just, and I know it's, an easy comparison, but I think Sam Ehlinger will be a lot like Colt McCoy, a very efficient backup quarterback. Will probably be forced into starting now and then and probably do well. And I hope, that being said, I hope he shocks us and is spectacular. I think I'm going to grab some coffee. Yeah, Juan, I agree with you. You need a good backup quarterback in the NFL if you're going to compete and contend. You saw each of the last 2 years, Drew Brees go down for the Saints, and they had a good backup each year. Teddy Bridgewater went unbeaten 2 years ago. Then you had Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill filling in for him. I don't see that in Ben DiNucci or Cooper Rush or Gilbert, who was also with them last year. God, they had so many quarterbacks filling in last year. Jason, it went well. I have a photo here somewhere. Wow, I did not realize that. Okay. I don't know how much you can see of that. There I am. That was getting texts. A rare photo of me clean cut wearing a suit and tie. Doesn't happen very often. Do you know about the technical issues in Austin?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
I was just notifying Brian about that.
Okay.
We were trying to figure out
He does look a little bit like Baron Davis. His name is Clifton. He's a comedian. He was very funny. Very good guy. That's me in a tie. Shocker. I'm so not used to wearing a tie. It just seems so constricting. Manuel Gonzalez says, you never know with these quarterbacks. Look at Brady. He was drafted in the later rounds, and now he's the GOAT. Good point. You are correct, sir. I mean, Dak Prescott, 4th round. Tony Romo, undrafted. You got a couple there from the Cowboys who turned out quite well. Welcome back. It's the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney, and she will become especially salty in a few moments. Every morning, right around 7:40, 7:42, you get your Salty Shakedown from Shannon right after this day in sports history and sports birthdays. We will dive deeper into the NFL draft just after 8 o'clock. Our resident draft guru, draft freak, draft Rain Man. I say all of those things in a good way. Tanner Carlson going to join us. Tanner also, I was talking with him in the hallway, and a lot of people were reacting last night. There was a big Eastern Conference NBA game between the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers, but the Nets especially were sitting a bunch of their stars last night. Stephen A. Smith was ranting about that on social media yesterday, and other teams like the Lakers, while LeBron James and Anthony Davis are out with injury, a lot of people are thinking the Lakers and other teams with these stars are really going to rest them a lot longer than they need to be rested to have them all ready for the playoffs. Is that the way we should be conducting the NBA regular season? That's one of the things we'll dive in with Tanner Carlson about just after 8 o'clock. Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. And before we get to the Salty Shakedown, some sports birthdays and this day in sports history. Thank you, Dave Ayler. On this day in 1910, President William H. Taft is the first U.S. president to throw out a baseball in a Major League Baseball game. Taft was the first. This day in 1947, Jackie Robinson becomes the first African-American to play in a United States Major League Baseball game for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Big day, and good on Major League Baseball for continuing to commemorate it to this day. This day in 1968, April 15th, the Houston Astros beat the New York Mets 1-0 in 24 innings. Dave Ayler was talking about, well, a no-hitter, at least it's a short game. You went to that game at 24 innings?
And 1 run.
My God,
They
exactly.
couldn't light up the bats for that 24th inning.
I was the PA announcer for the San Antonio Scorpions in soccer once, and the final score was 0-0. It was 0-0. Scorpions, and so and I said, yeah, I really like scoring.
Yeah.
I'm an NBA fan and a football. I really like scoring.
And that's people's really big knock on soccer is it can end in a
Yeah.
tie for certain games.
It's the beautiful game, man. It's the beautiful game. I like it. Don't get me wrong. Austin FC, we're all about it. And San Antonio FC. Don't freak out, people. This day in 1989, this is awful. I remember this. 96 people were crushed to death. Speaking of soccer, Shannon, some people take soccer too far. 1989, 96 people crushed to death, 766 injured at Hillsborough Football Stadium in Sheffield, England, after a semifinal game between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. The fans were just like crazy rush. They had this like fence barrier, and the fans rushed the barrier and everybody got crushed. 96 died. That's taking your soccer a little too seriously, people. This day in 1997, baseball honors Jackie Robinson by retiring number 42 for every team in Major League Baseball. And finally, this day in 2013, it was the Boston Marathon bombings. 3 people are killed, 183 injured after 2 explosions near the finish line. God, 2 events in sports on this day that killed people. Mm-hmm. That's April 15th on this day in sports history. Maybe birthdays will make us feel a little bit better. Some sports birthdays. Just 3. Born on this day in 1942. American basketball player. He won Olympic gold in 1964, would go on to coach the UCLA Bruins from 1984 to 1988. Walt Hazzard, born on this day in Wilmington, Delaware. He died in 2011. Born on this day in 1956, Michael Cooper, American NBA star with the LA Lakers, born in Los Angeles, California. I think he went on to coach the LA Sparks of the WNBA, Michael Cooper. He was part of Showtime with the LA Lakers. And finally, born on this day in 1957, Evelyn Ashford, American athlete, 4-time Olympic sprint gold medalist in 1984, 1988, and 1992 Olympic Games. Evelyn Ashford was born in Shreveport, Louisiana. There you have it, this day in sports history and sports birthdays. And now, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, here it comes, your Salty Shakedown.
Okay. We have to mention this because it was a huge story in the Twitterverse yesterday. Memes galore. Aaron Donald has found himself in a little bit of trouble. He, of course, a star for the LA Rams. He's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he hails from Pittsburgh, which is where all of this went down. He was in a club called the Boom Boom Room.
The Boom Boom Room.
So club, strip club, I don't know, sounds more like the latter to me. But he was hanging out, and a gentleman bumped into him. Aaron Donald didn't like that so much, so they got into an altercation. They were kicked out of the club. And outside of the club, Aaron Donald reportedly, I don't know exactly what he did to this man, because this man's injuries now include 16 stitches, a broken nose, a broken orbital bone. He's also got, they don't know if his arm is just sprained or broken. Man has a lot of injuries that he is claiming Aaron Donald did to him after this Boom Boom Room. I feel like we get these stories quite a bit, but it being Aaron Donald, who, I mean, you just look at him and I would be fearful
Yeah.
for my life if he had anger in his eyes. And this guy, I don't know why, if you were already asked to leave the club due to an altercation, why you would then not like run away from there the second you were asked to leave, because I don't know. I feel like there's more to the story that we're missing, don't you?
Well, part of it is alcohol. People do stupid
sure.
things with
For
alcohol
sure.
involved. And the mix, especially in strip clubs, of alcohol and testosterone can be a volatile mix. It looks like that might be involved here as
Right.
well.
Well, you mentioned alcohol. This apparently took place at 3 to 4 in the morning.
Boom, there
Can
you go.
imagine how much is in their system if they're still partying at that time?
When I was younger, old guys would say to me, Shannon, nothing good happens after midnight. And the corollary, nothing good happens after 2 a.m. You don't want to be out after. And when you're young, shut up. I want to party. I want to be out at 2. Shut up, old man. It's like, and now that I'm an old man, nothing good happens after 2 a.m. When I hear stories about professional athletes, and as you say, it's like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or some athlete will be driving his car 120 miles an hour at 4:30 in the morning drunk. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, I get up at 4 in the morning, and on my way to work, there's a hookah bar I drive by, and then there's also a very classy strip joint right next to the station here, and a lot of times I see people just then leaving work and leaving, enjoying their time at these prospective places. And I'm like, when do you sleep? Do you have a job you have to work the next day? I mean, I have all of these questions. I mean, it's also the same thing I do when I go to HB in the middle of the day. I'm like, why are all these people here?
Yeah.
Don't they have jobs? And I'm like, oh, they're probably wondering why I'm not in school and where are my parents. But okay, that's fair. So Mr. Aaron Donald in a bit of trouble. We'll have to see where this goes for him. Of course, he is still very much at the height of his career, and the Rams' high expectations now with the acquiring of Matthew Stafford, who is apparently too high on the list for likely MVP candidates next year, in my opinion. But that would be a huge hit for the Rams if a suspension came down for this from the NFL for Aaron, and he would have to miss any sort of time with that team. All right, moving on to another NFL team, the Buffalo Bills. We heard Josh Allen, a little iffy on the vaccine. He wanted to see the stats, which I think there's plenty of them right now, so I don't know how much more stats he's looking for. But the area of Buffalo released a statement saying for sports fans, all fans, as well as staff, will need to be fully vaccinated. They ended the statement saying no vaccine, no entry. I know a lot of people right now are taking sides on whether or not the government should force everyone to get the vaccine or have these rules in place, much like this, of no vaccine, no entry. Due to this statement, Rachel Bush, who is the wife of Bill's safety, Jordan Poyer, is very upset. She says it's unconstitutional. She also mentions, pregnant women who are breastfeeding, and the things about maybe they're not ready for the vaccine because of the things that their body is already going through. I think that is a pretty decent point. But then she also retweeted someone who said, well, they should just put family and friends in their own isolated section because they're not fans, they're support. So I don't know how much behind her she has by way of evidence, but she is very unhappy about this and wants the Bills to fight back and say, well, we're not going to require that for our fans. Do you have a stand on this right now? I mean, I know you and I are both very pro getting the vaccine, but this could become a bigger issue as we get closer to the NFL season, where, of course, there were next to no fans in most stadiums throughout this past season, and we're hoping we get full capacity going into 2021.
I have a huge stand on this, as you know, Shannon. I believe in science and math and medicine, and the vast majority, in the 97% plus of medical experts and epidemiologists, say we should get the vaccine. There are 570,000 Americans dead. The number is climbing. So the wife of the Bills safety, even though she doesn't want her constitutional rights violated, she can get it. She can pass it on to someone else. She can actually kill people because she's too special.
She's apparently had COVID.
Okay. Which I'm sorry for her and God love her. But again, we still don't know that. Some people go, oh, I've had it, I'm immune, I can't get it again. Well, we don't know that for sure either. I hope that proves to be the case, but the medical experts are still recommending, even if you had COVID, get a vaccine. So I know there's a movement in this country, and there's a huge faction of people who are anti vaccine in this country, and who for a long time didn't believe that COVID was real and that it was a hoax, and some of those people have since died. So yeah, it is a major health hazard in this country, and get a damn vaccine is my position.
Yeah. And on the other side of this, we've got Russell Wilson and his wife Sierra, who are hosting a television special. I believe I saw that not only President Obama, but President Joe Biden will be involved. And it's going to be, the purpose is to inform people on vaccine and some myths that some people have about the vaccine that they believe to be true, and encouraging folks to go get one when and where available. All right. Then we talked about Mr. A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez. He wasn't able to buy the Mets, so now he's going after the T-Wolves up in Minnesota, as well as the Lynx, the WNBA counterpart of that team. That deal is currently being finalized, him and another billionaire going in on this. Well, now that it's kind of made the rounds, most people know about it at this point. They've now started asking the Timberwolves players what they think about this. But they asked the wrong guy, because Anthony Edwards was asked about his new owner, and he said this.
Any thoughts about him? Are you an A-Rod fan at all growing up or anything like that? What do you think about what he might bring to the team?
And who is he?
The baseball player, Alex Rodriguez?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Okay.
I know he's going to be the owner, but I don't know about baseball.
I mean, he just Mariah Carey, Alex Rodriguez there now. Anthony Edwards, the number 1 overall pick in the 2020 draft. He's just 19. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was born in 2001. Aaron Rodriguez stopped playing baseball in 2016, but the last time he was an all-star was 2011. Now, I know more about A-Rod through his relationship with Jennifer Lopez.
Yes.
Because she is a goddess of musicianship and artistry, and just good background movies, I would say. Right, I'm not rushing to the theater to see them, but if they're on, they're usually kind of lighthearted. You throw it on in the background while you're doing chores around the house. But people can't believe that he's even living in this day and age in society and doesn't even know who Alex Rodriguez is. A-Rod saw this story. He reposted it on his Instagram live, and he said, "Hey, what's up, man?" And now the dude is like, "Oh, hey, maybe they need to get to know each other." I'm sure, Alex Rodriguez, being the successful athlete that he is, could part some wisdom onto Mr. Anthony Edwards, as he is still very fresh in his NBA career. As I said, just 19 years old. So I don't think he deserves all of the backlash for not knowing who A-Rod is. It is strange that he doesn't, but again, he's 19. He's got other priorities going on in his life, like basketball.
Well, see, you can relate to this because we gave you a hard time for not knowing who Harry Carey was. So, yeah. I mean, you're in a similar situation. Yeah, I heard that Alex Rodriguez's tweet or Instagram message said, "Hi, Anthony, I'm Alex," which is funny. But I heard a subsequent interview with Anthony Edwards right after he was drafted, telling someone, "Yeah, I played baseball in high school. I was like one of the best. I could have gone pro."
Played like 4 different positions.
Yes, and so I mean, if you're playing baseball in high school, or do you not pay attention to Major League Baseball? And might you know who Alex Rodriguez is? I mean, there are people playing the game who were born a lot longer after Hank Aaron or Pete Rose played baseball, but you've still heard of Pete Rose or Hank Aaron or these guys. It's stunning to me that Anthony Edwards had no idea who Alex Rodriguez was.
So I saw this interview you're talking about, and apparently this guy's a bit of a jokester, and so people think that maybe he was, playing along with this reporter, because it was kind of an awkward interview already. And when you look up his history, at least on Wikipedia, in his high school career, there is no mention of baseball.
It was a weird. He goes, "Oh yeah, I played first base." Oh, you played first base?
As like a kid.
And then
you
he,
know,
then he said,
really
then he
young
said,
kid.
he said, "Oh yeah, I was a pitcher too." It was a weird interview.
Yeah. So I don't. Yeah, but that's a great point as well, which is kind of what makes the story all that more entertaining. Anthony Edwards needs to get to know new owner Alex Rodriguez. Probably a good guy again to know, just as part some business wisdom, some life wisdom, how to manage a huge career. Obviously, he doesn't know he played in the MLB, but I mean, he knows how to manage some money. I mean, look at him. He's now about to buy himself an NBA franchise. So there you have it. Today's Salty Shakedown. A-Rod, man, he just stays relevant.
He does.
It's
And I
almost-
actually,
he'd be relevant if he wasn't dating J-Lo like this.
he wouldn't be as relevant. It has to help him a bit. But, when he wound up on the panel, doing Major League Baseball, we talk about the TNT panel all the time with Shaq and Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet Smith. A-Rod's really good on the baseball pregame and postgame panel. I didn't expect to like him as much as I do like him on the panel.
Mm-hmm. He had to get over himself a little bit, but he's certainly, he's good at what he does now.
And he knows what he's talking about.
I always kind of worry that because of their success in their career and their accolades, that they reference themselves too much in referencing today's game, or well, back in my day, too much of that going on. But he's gotten really great at breaking down, and he's not too bad to look at on TV.
Ooh, so he's eye candy for the female
His
viewership.
eyes are pretty.
Woo! He's a good-looking man. I can recognize that. I wonder if Anthony Edwards, when the dude was asking him about A-Rod and he had no idea who A-Rod was, I wonder if the guy would have said, the significant other of J-Lo. Have you heard of Jennifer Lopez? I'll bet you Anthony Edwards, as a guy, had heard of J-Lo.
Yeah,
I mean, if you haven't heard of J-Lo, then you haven't heard of Beyonce, probably. So come on.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Blasphemy.
I know that is blasphemy.
Not know who Beyonce is.
Exactly. There should be a test for NBA players to get in the league. There's certain things you need to know.
I mean, if you're going to cross-pollinate with, rappers and, artists and musicians and actors and all that, you're putting yourself in this world, this entertainment world, by signing that NBA contract. You should know.
Ralph Balderas telling us A-Rod also appears on Shark Tank from time to time. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
I've never seen him on Shark Tank.
I've seen
That's
that
cool.
show a couple times.
Yeah, that's fun.
Know that.
With your owner, Mark Cuban, of your beloved Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Woo. All right. A fellow Maverick fan like Shannon going to join us, but we won't talk Mavericks, I don't think. You never know. Tanner Carlson, heavily invested into the NFL draft. And we may talk Mavericks. He's got issues with NBA players getting too much rest in the regular season. It's got to stop. And we'll talk about it with Tanner Carlson. Sports packages, sports update at the top of the hour. Lots more coming till 9 o'clock. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. All right. Woo. Woo. Oh. Little sleep deprivation last night. Lucinda Sullivan, good morning. John McGee, good morning. Jason Paniagua, good morning. Christopher Summers, Alan Green, Dean Stone. Welcome. All right. I'm grabbing coffee.
Where they are dating still. They never officially broke up. He posted on his Instagram stories last night pictures of their kids. Christopher, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Better as friends. Call off their engagement. I can't keep up. How many rings J-Lo have now? I don't know if I trust these articles though. More than the Lakers. I think so. I think she's at 6. Wonder if she keeps all of them.
Had the long hair for a while.
Are you good on power?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I no longer have battery issues. That's right. With this battery.
Are you happy with it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Pulling the trigger.
It's just one of those things. It's like, I hate doing it. I hate going through the process of getting a new phone.
Yeah.
But then once it's done, I'm like, you know what? It was worth my time.
Good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
God, that's loud. Sorry about that.
I mean, it's all the same. At the end of the day, it's all the same crap in terms of what's on there and stuff. But
Yeah.
it works better. It's not nearly as the battery doesn't drain immediately.
Yeah, that'll happen in 3 years.
Yeah.
They're planned obsolescence.
Oh yeah. I mean, in 3-4 years, this phone's gonna be the worst thing ever. That's funny.
Beth Settle, good morning.
There we are. So you're a trade up for Kyle Pitts guy, huh?
I've heard some people say he's the best athlete in the first round. I mean, you got your quarterbacks, and if you're the Cowboys, you got your needs, which is defense. But the dude he's the next Travis Kelce.
Yeah. And how many teams that didn't win a Super Bowl said, "Man, if only we had a tight end, we would have won the whole dang thing."
But not the tight end, the greatest tight end on the face of this earth, who's like a hybrid pseudo wide receiver.
We'll talk about
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, knock your awards around.
Those are Mike Taylor awards.
Never mind.
Yeah. I get no awards.
I don't feel bad.
Yeah. You do have the link, I'm assuming.
I do.
Okay.
I think I'm hooked up.
Woo! Tanner Carlson on screen.
I got my dinosaur shirt on today.
Are those dinosaur?
Little dinosaurs.
Very cool.
Yeah. I told JC, I said, not that I won't love and cherish every moment of having a daughter, but I really wanted a son just for the simple fact of the dinosaur phase. I was a big dinosaur kid.
But I would imagine
I'm sure
a little girl could also go through the dinosaur.
I'm sure she could. Yeah. We had all kinds of like National Geographic, like dinosaur little special things on VHS whenever I was a kid growing up. And God, when Jurassic Park came out, I swear I watched that thing a billion times.
That's funny.
Up. Yeah. Big dinosaur. Had all the action figures.
Christopher, I did not know Alex Rodriguez and J-Lo are no longer dating. I
thought they were married.
I thought they were
like
too.
As of this morning, it was announced that they're better as friends.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because I was like, we heard that they made up and everything's cool.
I'm so out of the loop on other than the new Aaron Rodgers and whatever her name is, who fly under the radar actress who he was at Disney World with.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah, the chick from Divergent.
I'm kind of proud that I don't know her name.
I don't know her name either, but I know what movie she's in.
But yeah, apparently they did this interview at Disney, and it was just like
J-Lo and
Alex Rodriguez, Aaron Rodgers, and
Yeah.
it was apparently ridiculously sappy and kind of sickening.
I mean, they are at Disney.
Yeah.
God, I'm freezing.
Some nights
I've been shivering in here.
Well, that WOI studio where we do Spurs, sometimes it'll be like 97 degrees. So I'll come in, it's a night game, so I'll wear shorts and a t-shirt, and it's like 42 degrees in there. And I have to go to my car and get jackets just to be in that studio.
I'll be sitting at my desk, and I'm like, I can just feel when the AC comes on because I'm right underneath a vent. And I'm just sitting there like, I forgot a jacket today.
Yeah, you should probably always throw a sweatshirt in your drawer.
I typically always have one. Today I was like, because I was hot leaving today, like leaving my apartment today, and like in the parking lot.
It was muggy.
I was like, oh, I'm miserable. So I was like, I'm not wearing a jacket, and I should have just brought one.
Because I heard the high today was going to be 69, and then now it's upgraded to 70. So it's going to be cooler today.
But it was muggy.
It felt like Miami when I went to work today.
God, whenever I got up this morning and drove here, I was like, God, this sucks. I was like sweaty in my car. It's getting to the time of year. As soon as I get out of the shower, I just stay sweaty for the rest of the day. I'm like sticky, and I can't feel clean. I hate that feeling so much.
Man, it's only April.
I know.
So
that sucks.
So we'll go NFL draft and then NBA player rest.
Okay.
So like
Cowboy fans, it's so funny talking about Kyle Pitts. You're either 100% all aboard the Pitts train, or you're not on it at all and you want nothing to do with it. I don't think there's an in between on any Cowboy fan when it comes to Pitts.
That's funny. Here we go.
Now, Chris Duel.
Thursday has arrived, April 15th. It is usually tax day, but our government has been kind enough to extend us until May 17th. So if you're freaking out like I was over the weekend about April 15th, freak out no more. You got until May 17th. And by the time we get there, we will know who went where in the NFL draft. We love talking NFL draft with our resident NFL draft expert, guru, Rain Man. He is Tanner Carlson, who has his own sound effect. Tan Man the Monkey Man, who on Tuesday walked us through his doctoral dissertation. We're going to have to call you Dr. Tanner Carlson once you earn that doctorate in NFL drafting.
You know, if there was a doctorate degree for that, I would have graduated much earlier than I actually did.
Much more enthusiasm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It took me
I love studying.
almost 7 years to get my bachelor's. I mean, not that I went consistently to school for like 4 straight years. Actually, when I hunkered down and was like, all right, I'm going to actually do this whole school thing. It actually took me 3 years, but I had already had a couple of credits before then. But I was like, you know, it was a while before I rooted myself down into my studies and got serious about school. So.
I transferred twice and wound up graduating, I think 2 years after I would have normally. But I'm a big I wanted to extend the college experience as long as possible. I realized this is nirvana. This is like I don't have to really work yet.
Right.
I'm hanging out.
Compared to reality, it's a paradise.
It's and as a man, and Shannon, you can attest, as a woman in college, you are never going to be around such a universe of. If you're into the opposite sex, I know not everybody is, but in the case of young men in college, just the per capita women, and most, my final college was at USC. I mean, you don't have such a selection ever again. People don't tell you that ever again in the workplace,
never
in your life. You will never have a selection like you did in college,
unless you're going to be the creeper hanging out at the bar every single weekend.
But enough about Matt Gaetz. But the point is, no. But yes, right.
But you're right.
But even the bar does. How many people go to Texas, Shannon? How many thousands of people go to Texas? 65,000.
Yeah,
something crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you went to every bar, on a given, you're not going to have a universe of half of 50,000.
That's why I found my wife at the very end of my college. I was in the last semester of my college career, and I was like, well, I'm never going to have these options again. So I might as well bunker down, settle down, because, the options are done for me after this. Yeah.
And it all worked out.
It worked out perfectly. I'm the happiest man in the world.
Very, very good. Yeah. And if you've been listening, Tanner's soon to be a dad in August.
Yep. In August, expecting a little girl.
You will name her Christine after me, Chris, of course. Little Christine Carlson. Yeah. So looking forward to that. All right, sir. I do have, and you can see it at home, I have a sign inspired by the NFL draft, inspired by the Dallas Cowboys, inspired by Travis Kelce, the greatest tight end currently in the NFL, the original Kellen Winslow, who was a great tight end. I have heard from NFL draft analysts, forget all the quarterbacks, forget anybody on defense. The best athlete in the first round who will make the biggest impact, other than maybe Sunshine Trevor Lawrence, is tight end Kyle Pitts. I say, Jerry Jones, trade up for Kyle Pitts. What say you?
I'm not trading up for Kyle Pitts. If he falls to 10, I still necessarily wouldn't be thrilled with the pick. Now, okay,
what do you have against touchdowns?
I hear, because you could score 50 of them and still lose by 3 points with the defense that we have. Every offensive player,
we got Dan Quinn now.
Every offensive player that the Dallas Cowboys draft, select, bring into this offense to be a starter and a vital part of this offense is doing them a disservice. It's almost like, I love CeeDee Lamb. I think he's going to be a great player. I thought it was a great pick. He fell to 17. We grabbed him. There was nothing else that Dallas should have done differently in last year's draft, getting CeeDee Lamb. But doing him a complete disservice by not even giving them an opportunity to make a playoff run or to win a division in which your division winner was under 500. People forget about that.
True.
So it's not very hard to win this division, and yet Dallas has all this offensive talent. So why are we not above 500?
Well, if Dak wouldn't have been injured, we probably would have won that division. I think we can all agree, if Dak doesn't get injured, even with the other injuries and the other issues with the defense, Cowboys win that division if Dak doesn't get injured.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I hate relying on one single player to make or break your entire
That's
season.
why we need Kyle Pitts. So Dak will have that
Who's
safety
throw the
valve.
ball too?
Yeah. How many teams have failed to reach the Super Bowl and said, man, God, we are a tight end away. We are just a tight end away.
This is not a regular tight end. This is the Jerry Rice of tight ends.
The Chiefs could still make the Super Bowl without Kyle Pitts. Because they have a middle-of-the-road defense that is good enough to get
Did you mean
there.
Travis Kelce?
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Right.
Travis
okay,
Kelce.
Yeah, okay.
The Chiefs can get to the Super Bowl without Travis Kelce.
He sure helps, doesn't he?
Is he a huge help?
Yes.
Yes. Is he a security blanket? Of course. Is he a big playmaker? Yes, he is. But they have a middle-of-the-road to average defense, which is all Cowboy fans have been asking for.
We would love to upgrade to that.
I want to upgrade to be the number 15 defense in the league. I would love it. I really would. And I think a couple of picks in the draft can help us start to establish that. Do I say drafting a cornerback, drafting Patrick Surtain at number 10 makes us a middle-of-the-road defense? Probably not. But if you don't start somewhere, because Dallas hasn't even addressed the issue of defense, other than maybe signing a couple defensive linemen in free agency who aren't going to do much except be depth guys. You know, we haven't really got many starters other than Keanu Neal and maybe Devontae Casey. I think he's more so a rotation guy in the secondary anyway. And Keanu Neal, they're saying that he's going to be put more so at linebacker than he is at safety. So you've got to start establishing something. You've got to start building something on defense, or else you could score 50 points a game. I don't really care. But if you're allowing 52, you're still going to have a losing record. I saw a stat yesterday. Dak was on pace for almost 6,000 passing yards, and it was only week 5. Yeah. He was almost on his way to nearly 6,000 passing yards. Dallas was 2 games under 500 before he got injured. And by week 3, week 4, we're saying, man, if we could just cover one guy, if we could cover a little bit of DK Metcalf, if we could just kind of hold on to a defense or an offense that's scoring nonstop on us, then maybe we don't have to go for it on 4th down on our own 30-yard line. Maybe we don't have to do fake punts on 4th and 15 to just try to maybe get something so our defense isn't out there on the field again. I mean, it's quicker for the defense to score when they only have 30 yards to give up other than 70 yards to give up. So let's just go for it. And if we don't get it, well, the other team will score quickly and our offense will get back out there. I am so tired of playing that. I'm so tired of using that excuse or having that mindset. I just want to be able to punt the ball and be okay with punting the ball and be like, you know what? Our defense can make a couple of stops.
Shannon, I'm assuming you're not with me on the Kyle Pitts love wagon.
You know, I go back and forth with it because I do like it, just how exciting he is, and I very much agree with Tanner that like something has got to change with the defense, and I think a lot of that's going to come through the draft this year. But you know, we say Travis Kelce wasn't, or you know, the Chiefs could have made it to the Super Bowl without Travis Kelce. Chiefs had 40 passing touchdowns last season. Travis Kelce caught 11 of those. I mean, dude puts up points, and I don't think you know, Dak already has such great relationships with his wideouts and obviously Zeke that I don't know that he would then have that same connection with a guy like Kyle Pitts, at least not right off the bat. And you know, Blake Jarwin's still around, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
and Schultz came into his own. I'm not saying neither one of them were Kyle Pitts.
We've got Blake Jarwin. Yeah.
Like I don't know that it's a necessity as a position anyway, when we've kind of already got guys who are pretty stable right there, except for when they're injured, obviously. So I still prefer defense at this moment. Now, if dude comes in and makes an impact and all of a sudden like he is the guy and defense somehow picks it up on their own, great. But I just don't see that happening at the moment.
And I also want to make this perfectly clear for everyone who's like, man, he doesn't think Kyle Pitts is a good player. I think Kyle Pitts is a generational talent.
Boom.
He's fine.
Is Patrick Surtain a generational talent?
Probably not.
Okay.
He at best, he's probably got you a couple Pro Bowls, maybe, you know, and that would be high side. That's probably top ceiling. You know, he goes to the Pro Bowl 3-4 years and you got a solid corner. That's probably his ceiling. Is he a Hall of Fame caliber guy? Probably not. Kyle Pitts, they're saying he has the capability of being that. Picking Kyle Pitts would not be a quote unquote bad pick. You're not going to give him a bad draft grade. You know, you're not going to give him an F just because they drafted a tight end over a need. I'm not saying it would be a bad pick. He's a good player, so it's going to be a good pick. but building for the future and building a team that is legitimately going to compete instead of a shiny toy that's fun for Dak and fun for this offense and fun for Kellen Moore to play with isn't necessarily going to help the long run. And in fact, I think it hurts Kyle Pitts more than anything because it doesn't give him an opportunity other than putting up big numbers. Other than putting up big numbers and having a lot of touchdowns and yards and stuff, they're not going to win anything. Dallas isn't going to become a contender or a Super Bowl, favorite just because they drafted Kyle Pitts. And I don't think that's necessarily the case either with whoever they drafted on defense, but it's building towards something it's just something to build on and to build for the future. And because you got to start addressing needs at some point.
Yes.
It's great to go best player available. And I 100% agree with best player available. I'm typically always 100% best player available, but you got to start building at some point, you got to start addressing needs at some point.
Well, I just find it so weird going into last season. You had actual national NFL analysts picking the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl. You had a few of them. And then the season happened, and that defense was so historically god-awful. Just the disparity between a year ago, we were thinking, wow, Cowboys will win the NFC East and might go to the Super Bowl, whereas now we're looking at this team and this defense going, oh, my God, this is like a 3-year reclamation project.
Yeah.
We absolutely suck. And historically, that defense did absolutely suck last year.
You know who doesn't have a quarterback and still made the playoffs? Washington. Why? Because they have a lot of young talent on
and they're
defense.
in the NFC least.
Well, correct. Yeah. No doubt. But I mean, they're going into this season fairly confident. And some people have them as the NFC East favorites, even over Dallas this year with Dak coming back, with Tyler Heineke, whatever his name is, and Fitzpatrick as their quarterbacks. Because Fitzpatrick's not starting every game. If you do that, you don't have a shot. But they're going into the season with those two as their best options and maybe a draft pick. And then they're like, man, these guys are pretty good. Why? Because they have a complete team other than quarterback. I would say that the Washington football team's roster, top to bottom, is probably better than Dallas's other than the quarterback position.
Wow. That's a big statement. Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys coach, a very lackluster first season. What do you think Jerry Jones's expectation is for him? If they're mediocre again, might he blow him out sooner than later?
I would think so. It's not like he's some young up and comer. It's not like he's got something to prove. He's already been there, done that. And if he's washed, he's washed. And you wipe your hands clean of him and you do away with it. And then maybe you promote Kellen Moore to the head coaching position.
God.
It's the only thing I could really think of Dallas actually doing. I think they're grooming him essentially to be Jason Garrett 2.0. But I think that Moore is a little bit more accepting of the way the NFL is moving in terms of not being stuck in old ways and old traditional football ways. Kellen Moore is definitely the progressive mind that would take over and be progressive when it comes to calling an offense. Now, he would need obviously a lot of help in terms of, all the responsibilities of a head coach and on defense and whatnot. But I think if you have a similar season that falls woefully short of expectations, I say McCarthy's gone, and I don't feel bad about it whatsoever. I would just move on.
Yeah, and when you said Kellen Moore, at first my jaw dropped, but then I remembered Boise State, his alma mater, was going to offer him a ton of money to be their head coach this coming season, and it was a done deal, reported by many. Someone intervened and kept him in Dallas, which that would speak to the possibility that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones have bigger plans for Kellen Moore in the future.
And it was probably one of the Joneses who said, look, if you stay here and McCarthy doesn't do anything, if McCarthy does anything less than an NFC championship or Super Bowl, we can get rid of him and bring you in as the head guy.
And that's awful. Which is, I agree, Shannon.
He just
it's
spent
awful.
all that draft talk talking about how they need to pay attention to their needs, and that would not fit. I mean, we've already played that, like you said, with Jason Garrett. What about Kellen Mond has shown you that he's worthy of that? Go get Mr. Lincoln Riley, please.
Oh, yeah. She's saying get an OU guy to come in. And
I don't
Cowboy guy at that point. We just talked about his
yeah. Oh, my thing with Riley. How successful, how often does it actually happen where a college coach comes in early in his career? Now, we've seen the guy like Pete Carroll gone to the NFL, didn't work out, go back to college, then come back because they needed more experience. It just doesn't typically work out that well. It's okay right now with Arizona. I'm not going to say Cliff Kingsbury's some savior in Arizona. They haven't finished over what? They were 9-7 last year, I believe. So a game over 500.
And I think one of the biggest college college to NFL successes ever was Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, my God.
And he's one of the very rare exceptions. Even Nick Saban couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Nick Saban went to Miami. People forget this dude has a very bleak gap in his coaching career where he went to the NFL and lasted maybe 2 seasons in Miami and then had to go back to college.
Yeah, Steve Spurrier.
He lacked control, whereas in college, I mean, he is the father figure. He gets to set the rules and the ways. In the NFL, you just don't have that control over guys like that.
Yeah, it's a completely different dynamic.
How Alabama's run.
Yeah. Before we let you go here, I know I talked to you in the hallway. Stephen A. Smith went nuts on social media yesterday when he found out it was the two best teams in the Eastern Conference, Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia 76ers were meeting, and he found out the Brooklyn Nets were going to sit a lot of guys who didn't necessarily need to sit, including Kevin Durant. We're seeing this all over the league, most notably, I believe, in L.A., LeBron James and Anthony Davis. A lot of people are saying, hey, if those guys wanted to play, they could play. They're just resting for the playoffs. You think this is not a really good move for the NBA?
I mean, it's one of those things that I think it's an analytical thing too. I think analytics come into it. I think preventing injuries. I understand if a guy is injured and you want to hold them out a little bit longer because it's kind of a lingering, nagging injury and you want to hold them out a few more games just so they're 100%, they're 100%. But the season's already been shortened. It's already 72 games. They shortened it 10 games. That's your 10-day rest right there.
True.
That's your 10 games that you're resting. So I don't understand. I mean, it happened not that long ago. Dallas Mavericks are on a 5-game win streak. All of a sudden, you're 2 games back behind Portland for the 6th seed to advance in the seedings. And I guess, they don't care that much. You're either going to play Phoenix, Clippers, or Lakers or whoever at that point. But you're 2 games behind Portland, and then you bench Luka and KP for really no reason other than just to rest them. And then they lose 2 straight. So,
although I would say this,
I'm not sure what the strategy is. Whenever you're hot, your players are playing well, and you've got a win streak going, and then you just tarnish it for no reason whatsoever. I mean, I'm not big on the whole resting players thing, and like I believe Stephen A. said it. If I'm correct, is that he said we're not paying you for 64 games.
Yeah, we don't just pay you for the playoffs. You get paid for the regular season.
Yeah, we pay you for the entire regular season.
Yeah,
you're right. You do pay you for the entire season. I 100% agree. I've never said I 100% agree with Stephen A. Smith ever, but I do on that. We're paying you for the entire season. That's a lot of money, a lot big contracts, and you're just choosing not to play.
Now, regarding the Mavericks, I haven't looked at their schedule, and the two of you are Mavericks fans. You would know better than I would, but most NBA teams, if not all, the structure of the second half of this season, it's really backloaded. The Spurs have no 2 nights off in a row ever. They have 11 back-to-backs. Pop said last week the Spurs players are fried. So I think every NBA team is playing more games in a shorter span, especially now than ever before, because just of COVID and the scheduling. So that could be a factor.
100%. I realize that. And speaking of the Spurs, I don't know how many Spurs fans are going to like me saying this, but this is kind of all the Spurs' fault.
Oh,
they were the first ones. They were the trendy ones. They were the trendy ones to start it. They were the trendy ones to start it with Old Man Timmy and Old Man Parker and Ginobili. Those guys needed rest to get into the playoffs.
And their careers were extended by Pop.
Their careers were extended, and you made multiple finals appearances towards the end of their careers.
Wouldn't you, as a Mavericks fan, want a longer Luka career, a longer Kristaps Porzingis career, and hopefully more championships because they're getting a little more rest than usual?
Well, Dallas is a long way away from competing for a championship.
I don't think they're that far away.
I think they are. They need it. In today's NBA, if you don't have 3 superstars now, you're basically toast. I just don't think that they have the roster around them to. You're going to take them over the Lakers. You're going to take them over the Clippers.
Not every night, but in a given series, if
series,
Dallas,
I give them 2 games most in that scenario.
I think in a given series, the Mavericks, if they play to their potential or above their heads for 4 games in a 7-game series, I think they could beat the Clippers or the Lakers. I do.
I mean that you're more confident in the Mavericks than I am. I can tell you.
I also want the Cowboys to get Kyle Pitts.
That's also true. Yeah,
that's where my opinions come from.
But I don't know. It's just I'm not a big fan of the resting the players thing. I mean, there are guys like Reggie Miller that have come out, Chris Webber, these guys who Barkley and Shaq. They said that that if they didn't need a day off, why do these guys?
They never missed. You're right. David Robinson. Tim Duncan. They didn't take nights off.
Duncan only took nights off whenever he was playing in his 25th season, and he was using a walker to get around in the locker room.
And I specifically remember that night in Miami on TNT when Pop did that. It was like 4 games in 5 nights.
Yeah.
And part of why Pop did it, A, they needed the rest, but B, it was kind of a protest to the NBA saying this is ridiculous. Right. 4 games in 5 nights.
And that's, that's cool and all, and I get it, but these guys, Kevin Durant, you're in the prime of your career, dude. You're at the top of your game. Why wouldn't you want to go out and play? I mean, I know you want to play for the playoffs and stuff. I get that, but I don't know. I guess it's an old. I can't watch the NBA like I watched not even 8 years ago. 8 years ago, the game was completely different than what it is today. I mean, me in high school had a completely different. I almost watched the NBA almost every single night, knowing what product I was going to get as a fan. Now I barely even really even care for all that much. I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess I'm get off my lawn, 26-year-old Tanner, but it just is kind of one of those things where I'm over it. I'm kind of sick of the whole benching players and sitting them for some rest.
Tanner Carlson is a great follow on Twitter at Tanner Carlson 20. 2 weeks from today is the NFL draft. We're
extremely excited. I'm starting to get that early Christmas Day jitters.
I have 2 weeks to convince you to trade up for Kyle Pitts. You will see the light.
All right.
He's the Jerry Rice of tight ends in his prime, Kyle Pitts. Quick break. Go follow Tanner on Twitter at Tanner Carlson 20. There's his official sound. Lots more coming up with Shannon Salty Sweeney, Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist, and me on the Chris Duel Show. Jeff Garcia in here. Hey, Jeff. Welcome in. With a link on Rudy Gay. Thank you, sir. That was fun.
Cool.
That was a fun segment.
Yeah. Good times. All righty. Well, I'm out of here. Have a good one, sir. Yep.
I'm grabbing one more hit of coffee. I'll be back in about 67 seconds. Where's my mask? Woo! What's the status? Do we have an update?
Yeah, everything's fine now. Ryan here just flexed them.
Wow. Yeah.
We weren't extended anything to them. They were supposed to be tones to fire up their spots, but they weren't getting any audio.
Yeah.
The only way, everything, our audio and all those tones are sent on the same thing. The same way.
Yeah, that's crazy.
One, they should have been getting both. And ticket, we never had any problems on the ticket.
Yeah.
It was working fine with Taylor last night, so I don't know what else. What else could be? Again, if I knew, I guess I'd be an engineer and be taking real money.
Funny. See, Louisa, I think you nailed it. Louisa says, I want the Cowboys to select Kyle Pitts and then use the rest of their picks on defense. Yes. Be very savvy. Do your homework on defense. And the reason there, Louisa, and I'm with you on that, they say, and even Tanner's just said it, Kyle Pitts is a transformational player. He's a once-in-a-generation tight end. And when he said that, I said, can you say that about Patrick Surtain? Patrick Surtain is the cornerback out of Alabama that most draft analysts believe the Cowboys will draft at number 10. So go get you a Travis. And they say Kyle Pitts, even though he's a tight end, and I guess this is a good comparison to Travis Kelce, it's like having a wide receiver. He's got burner speed. He's big. He's a monster athlete. He's a playmaker. He's dynamic. He can change the outcome of a game. Why would you not want that? And I know the defense sucks. When Jason Witten left, Dak lost that surefire guaranteed tight end safety valve. Kyle Pitts is Jason Witten on steroids, on Breaking Bad, crystal methamphetamine, baby blue. NFL might not approve of that analogy, but Wes Perkins never questioned Coach Greg Popovich. I'm just saying. There is a plan, and in Pop we trust. Let's see. Welcome back. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Music, soundscape presented unto you by one Dave Ayler. You see him right now on Facebook Live. Dave Ayler wearing the iHeartMedia hoodie today. Is it cold in the studio today?
It is cold in this entire building.
Yes.
There was times it'd be 100 degrees outside, and we're sitting in here wearing jackets. I was so cold.
I still make the big mistake because sometimes, it'll be a hot day. Just a few days ago, it was 90 something, and it was time to go do the Spurs broadcast. And, I wear pants and try to dress like an employee during work hours. But I figure the Spurs game's at night, so there's really nobody in the building but Mike Bartlett and me. So I thought, all right, I'll wear shorts and a T-shirt because it's hot. It's 97. Again, that's WOAI studio. It's 42 degrees. I have to go back to my car looking for a parka to do the rest of the Spurs broadcast.
I remember walking through the newsroom one time. It was so cold. It was like 100 degrees outside, and it was so cold in here that all the windows had condensation on it. It was so cold.
Tanner was telling me the same thing. He was having the same issue today. And I keep telling myself, I think I've kept a couple of sweatshirts in my drawer in my desk for moments like this. So, Shannon, you got the same deal in Austin, right? You got a cold studio.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I was like, I don't need a jacket today. I'll wear a T-shirt. Let me show off my Austin FC swag.
Woo.
And I'm regretted it the second I walk in. But then there are also days where it's like 100 degrees and the air conditioner doesn't work. And
yes,
you can't win here.
We've had those.
To come just with. I basically keep a closet in my car just in case.
Keep a lot of layers.
Jacket, lighter jacket, pants, shorts, whatever.
Always a good idea. Yeah. Hey, I saw this from college basketball, and I think it's very interesting. The Arizona Wildcats, who are always kind of knocking on the door, coming out of the Pac-12 over the years, going way back to Lute Olson when he was their head coach. He had players like Sean Elliott and others back in the day. They fired their coach after the season, and they hired longtime Gonzaga assistant coach Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd has been at Gonzaga since the year 2000 as the assistant coach under Mark Few. 20 seasons as an assistant at Gonzaga. He's 46 now, so that means when he started in the year 2000, he was 26, and he's apparently known as one of the best international recruiters in college basketball. Domantas Sabonis just won, Kelly Olynyk, some of his many recruits. Kind of an interesting, and I think probably a wise roll of the dice, Shannon, for Arizona. I mean, this guy has had a front row seat to watching what Mark Few did to build a relatively obscure Spokane, Washington college into a basketball power and a team that's always knocking on the door. They should have, well, they couldn't beat Baylor, but they had an opportunity to go undefeated and, write their name against some of the greatest teams in the history of college basketball this year. So it'll be interesting to see if Tommy Lloyd can translate some of that Gonzaga magic to the Arizona Wildcats.
Well, and when you think about, oh my God.
Is that the phone? Is that the ringtone?
I've gotten more phone calls this week than I've ever had in my entire life. And for whatever reason, my phone likes to say they're all from Canada, even though they're not. They're all from Austin. But to Arizona, for starters, it finally proves the point in college basketball that winning is everything, right? Because of all that went on with shoe deals and this, that, and the other, and maybe playing a couple pairs. So I think it's a great opportunity because it is a program that we were kind of surprised not to see make the tournament this year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't talk about them as much as the UNCs and the, Dukes and whatnot, but they were surprised not to make it in. They're usually a pretty good team. So he should be going into a pretty good situation as far as that's concerned. And then you're right, for him to be where he was at Gonzaga, I think this is not only a great next step, but like I said, a good situation for him as coming from an assistant to becoming a head coach. And it's not like what Texas did with Shaka Smart, where it was like a one-time fluke with what he did with Villanova, and then it's was it Villanova?
VCU, yeah, Virginia Commonwealth.
Where we brought him in, and it's like, well, he's the next hottest thing. Well, this guy has a little bit of a track record and proves that he really is that valuable and that guy that can bring a program like Gonzaga to national relevancy and stay that way, especially when it comes to tournament time.
Yeah, and you would think, Again, I always talk about this with regard to Texas, versus Baylor or any of these other schools that they're doing better in the case of basketball with Baylor than I think the Texas Longhorns should be doing. You would think, now granted, Gonzaga now has cachet. You now say Gonzaga and you think of winning basketball, but that used to be the case at Arizona for many, many years. You would think that from a brand standpoint, Arizona, the Wildcats, playing in Tucson, Arizona, playing in the Pac-12, having had a lot of big marquee players over the years, you would think that they would have an opportunity now. It seems like an upgrade in brand to me if you exploit that correctly.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Pac-12, I mean, look how great that conference did within the tournament, even without Arizona being part of it. So I think that is all more the reason for their marketing to go up as well, because you want not only to play for a great school, but a school that's in a great conference that does compete on a high level during the regular season and helps your bid to get that tournament slot year in and year out.
So once again, we will see how that plays out. His name is Tommy Lloyd. If you didn't know it, if you're not paying attention to assistant coaches, the assistant coach for Mark Few at Gonzaga. And I guess, I heard a lot of people say Mark Few, if he wanted to, could go get a job at Kentucky. He could go get a job at a blue blood school, but Mark Few, kind of like this assistant coach, before he became the head coach at Gonzaga, he was an assistant for something like 8 or 10 years. So Mark Few has been at Gonzaga forever, and I'm just guessing he loves his life. He loves his lifestyle. His wife and his family must be happy because nobody's been able to pry that guy away. And with all that success, you would think that a Kentucky, that a Memphis, Alabama, when they let go of Avery Johnson, not that Alabama is a powerhouse, but they were pretty darn good this year. You would think that a bigger school with a big, big budget would have been able to grab Mark Few. Heck, even Texas, you got to wonder if they would have, tried to grab him if they could have. But that dude has never left Gonzaga, to his credit, and to the university's credit, for whatever the reason, keeping him happy.
Well, in keeping with that and coaching changes, I mean, Chris Beard even said it yesterday that, I think a lot of people in Lubbock were like, look at all we've built for him. Look how successful he's been. Why would he ever leave? And he flat out said yesterday, look, this is where I've always wanted to be. I mean, this city is the greatest city in the world. This is my home. This is where I went to school. I'm so happy to be back here. And we know that he's been making some great hires. He's been getting head coaches from the UT system to come and be assistant coaches. One of the most recent, the former head coach out at UTEP. So guess who is in the running to replace the former head coach at UTEP is Abilene Christian's head coach, because I guess that win over Texas was so significant that he deserves a bigger job in the state of Texas.
Now, funny you should bring up Abilene Christian, Shannon, because I saw this. We've been talking about Texas Longhorn baseball. They are on fire. They are number 3 in the country. They had that 6-game stretch where Ivan Melendez hits a home run at least in each of the 6 games. They've won a gazillion games in a row. I don't even remember what the number is. It's 7 or more right now. The next opponent for the Texas Longhorns, Friday in Austin at Dish Falk Field, Abilene Christian coming to town. Could there be, if Abilene Christian beats Texas in baseball after eliminating them in basketball,
bigger upset?
Do we have to believe there's some kind of an Abilene Christian jinx going on? I'm just saying.
There might be at that point, because that would to me would be more like, that would seem like a bigger upset for that baseball program than it was for the basketball program, because we'd seen that happen already with the basketball program, right? I mean, them going out and losing to teams they're just not supposed to lose to. But you're right. I mean, Texas baseball and Texas softball currently combined 24-game consecutive win streak.
Oh my God.
I mean, 'tis the season, you guys.
Yeah, Texas overall now 27-8 and 10-2 in the Big 12 in men's in baseball. But my God, you think about softball, you think about Texas baseball. We just talked about the swimming coach that retired. The swimming program is always right there for a national championship. And it's possible. I mean, Texas number 3 in the country right now. What if they go to the College World Series and win it? Obviously, the expectations very high for Steve Sarkisian as head coach of the football team. Probably not a lot of national analysts picking Texas to win the national championship this coming year, but I'm an optimist. Anything's possible. Win the Big 12. Go as close to undefeated as you can. See if you can get into the playoff. And then you mentioned Chris Beard. You look at who you talked about this, the kid from Utah who was old Pac-12. They get a kid from Kentucky. A lot of people are poo-pooing the transfer portal. I think it might make men's college basketball more dynamic. Why not? Why not give players the freedom to move if they choose to? I don't dislike it as much as other people do.
Yeah, it's creating this like free agency market, and a guy like Chris Beard, who historically he's been great at kind of picking and choosing players to come and be part of his team, even though he knows he's not going to get the full 4 years that you would hope and expect out of an incoming freshman. I mean, but that's also the way we are in basketball now. I mean, most freshmen want to come in and consider themselves a one and done. So if you're only going to get a guy for 1 year, you might as well get an experienced guy who already knows the game of college basketball and can provide something in an area. It allows you to really pick and choose, because you don't always know what you're getting out of a freshman, but you get a guy who's already played at the collegiate level and you say, okay, these are his strengths and that's an area we need to fill on this team. Yes, we want to take him over maybe someone else.
It's smart on the coaches part. It's smart on the players part. There might be players out there. Is there any thought? We talked about McClung of Texas Tech now going into the transfer. And any thought that he would come play with Beard again? Is that on the table at all?
Would that not be the ultimate dagger?
Oh man!
I mean, you have to think that somewhere in the back of his mind, I think Beard is most likely the reason he ended up at Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Why not, if he doesn't grade out the way he likes in that NBA, little draft experiment, come to Texas.
If they get him and adding everybody Beard is adding, I'm going to start to wonder if they might not be a favorite to go to the Final Four in Chris Beard's first year. I mean, I know expectations are already ridiculously high, but I might just jump onto that expectation bandwagon pretty quickly here.
Yeah. And then Tech fans will just start calling us Tech 2.0.
Well, enjoy that while Texas goes and wins. Poll question, Shannon. We're less than a minute. Do we know who the best quarterback other than Sunshine is in this NFL draft?
Well, we've had a takeover here. A lot of people now voting for Justin Fields. He's got 42% of the vote, followed by Zach Wilson, 34%, and tied at 11%, Mac Jones and Trey Lance.
The Ohio State vote came in.
Yeah,
very nice. Wow. Well, thank you to Tanner Carlson for his insights on the NFL draft and his poo-pooing of my Kyle Pitts idea. Gonna stick with that for 2 more weeks.
You'd buy that jersey?
Oh God, yes. In fact, if Jerry trades up, I declare I will be the first guy logging onto the Cowboys fan shop to buy my Kyle Pitts jersey day after the draft on April 30th.
If you really
believed
it, you'd get the jersey before the draft.
That's right. Or I'd get a tattoo. Kyle Pitts Cowboys tattoo. Super Bowl. Or not. For Shannon, Salty Sweetie, and Dave Ayler, I'm Chris. We'll see you in 21 hours. Have a great Thursday. Adios. Thanks, everybody.